Yes, Mirike. Please start.
Okay. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May all who feel themselves as one with thee know they are therefore one with every other. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Thank you, Mirike. Now I welcome Professor Shinde ji to give his talk, continuation of Fragment 2. Thank you, Mirike.
Well, at the outset, I must express my thanks, my heartfelt thanks to Gandhinagar Lodge members, especially Geeta Subramanyam, Muralidharan, Vimalji and Meriki, who are taking much pains to arrange such kind of online talks. Brothers and sisters, thank you very much for all those who are attending, for giving me this opportunity to share some thoughts on Voice of the Silence, which is the last gift of H.P. Blavatsky to the world. We have already completed fragment first, titled as Voice of the Silence, and we have been studying now with the fragment second, and about 118 verses we have finished. Today we are going to deal with the 119 to 138 verses. So let us begin with the reminding the dramatic images the Voice of the Silence puts before us to ponder over again and again in the last session. Especially in the last session, these are the dramatic images they have put before us to ponder over. Number one, a bird set into airless vessel from which it must escape. So contemplate on this, a bird set into airless vessel from which it must escape. Second, we must remember a mirror gathers dust while reflecting, and to remove the dust, it needs the breeze of soul. And the third important thing we must remember, a fool may climb a high tower top and sits in a pride being alone. So if we ponder over these, what we studied last time, that makes us more clear what they want to convey us. In total, a goal of human life is perfection. In the sense, we should not be carried by our circumstances. And this week is very good week in the sense of spirituality, especially for the spiritual study, as it is called Ashadi Bees. It is a very good atmosphere to sow the seeds of good things. And that is what we are doing by such kind of online talk, and for which I am grateful to the Gandhinagar Lodge. So let us begin with today's study, fragment 2, the two paths. The 119 says, false learning is rejected by the wise and scattered to the winds by the good law. False learning is rejected by the wise and scattered to the winds by the good law. Its wheel revolves for all. Its wheel revolves for all. The humble as well as the proud. The doctrine of the I is for the crowd. The doctrine of the heart is for the elect. The first repeat in pride and says, "Behold, I know." The last they who in humbleness have garnered low confess, and they say, "Thus have I learned, have I heard." Then 120 says, "Great sifter." Very good word, great sifter, is the name of the heart doctrine. O disciple, the wheel of the good law moves swiftly on. It grinds by day and night the worthless husks. It drives out the golden grain, refuse from the floor. The hand of karma guides the wheel. The revolutions mark the beatings of the karmic heart. These are all are the poetic and very good, what we can say, examples for contemplation. Then 122, true knowledge is the floor. False learning is the husk. If thou wouldst eat the bread of wisdom, then thy floor thou hast to knead with the amrut clear waters. But if thou kneadest husks with Maya's dew, then thou can't create but food for the black doors of death, the birds of birth, decay, and sorrow. And in 123, if thou art told that to become Arhat, thou hast to cease to live all being. Tell them they lie. So these are the 4-5 we are going to deal with. When it says false learning is rejected, by whom? By the wise, and scattered to the winds by the good law. Its wheels revolves for all the humble and the proud. The doctrine of the I is for the crowd, and the doctrine of the heart is for the elect. The first repeat in pride, and he said, "Behold, I know." The last day who is humbleness have garnered low confess, "Thus have I heard." So here in this, what we must learn, the very sentence are, false learning is rejected. We must distinguish between path of learning and path of nirvana. Path of learning may have false learning, which is rejected. So the path of learning, what are the constituents of the path of learning? It involves gathering of information, adding to our knowledge and memory, and build certain ideas, concepts, and assumptions, weighing down our own perception, and not in hurry, but create distance. So these are the important points. We must accumulate information, add to our knowledge and memory, build concept and assumption, and weigh down our own perception, not in hurry. This is what actually path of learning. But if you are not doing this, then false learning is rejected. Then the next one is the path of nirvana, that includes letting go. that letting go is actually release what is unnecessary. Release what is unnecessary, letting go of fixed ideas. We must drop assumptions and judgments and allow clarity and direct seeing. So this we must remember. We must return to simplicity and natural ease. Our living must be ease living. It must be a simple life, a clean life, like that. This is the path of nirvana. So when it says false learning is rejected by the wise and scattered to the winds by the good law, again here the good law, what is that good law? The good law plays no favoritism. It judges both the innocent and the guilty with utmost justice, carefully weeding out all that is in opposition to the soul's growth. So the false learning is knowledge without wisdom. It is a true knowledge that teaches us wisdom. And there is wisdom only in being humble, humbler, and humblest, helping us or helping to the divine plan, which is evolution. So, this great shifter, again, one word is there. The great shifter is the name of the heart doctrine. O disciple, great shifter is the name of the heart doctrine. So here the heart doctrine is called the great shifter. Because as man works in the world, in the manner in which his wisdom directs, especially to the mistakes that he makes are gradually sifted out and removed through the faculties of the intuition. This is the way. Heart doctrine is a purgative way. So it gradually, the negativities are removed from our faculties of intuition. So man can take evolution in this way in his hand and become the captain of his soul. And so he is no longer slave to his personality. So this is symbol of Bodhisattva. No return reverse here. Great shifter, once he has crossed the threshold, there is no return to any kind of reverse. The wheel of the good law moves swiftly on. It grinds day and night the worthless husk. It drives from out the golden grain. The refuse from the floor. The hand of karma guides the wheel. The revolution marks the beating of the karmic heart. Here, two powers are pointed to show. One, the way of Arhata, and second, the way of Bodhisattva. I would like to focus on this more. Unless you understand these two paths, where they are, the great shifter is the symbol of Bodhisattva. And there are two types of Bodhisattva. The way of Arhat, I have given Vimalji two more projections. The way of Arhat, yes. We can read this. Here, Srotapatti and Sakruta Agamni, Anagamini. So these are the Srotapatti who enters the stream, and Sakrutagnami means once return, and Anagamni means no return. So Srotipatti, the stage of he who has entered the stream, which will carry him in times to the ocean of nirvana. For more details, you can go in detail, especially in that book which I have read. That is page 25 and note 4. I have taken it from. And Sanskrit Gamani. In the second stage, he is known as he who will return to earth only once more. And Anagamini, the third stage is that of non-return. So these are the three stages: entering the stream and becoming the stream, and then the back door is closed, no return. So on the fourth path to arrestship, the seeker for perfection has to overcome the remaining hindrances, overcome whatever remained hindrances are there, they must overcome, and desire for separateness of life in the worlds of form and non-form, spiritual pride, self-righteousness and ignorance, which is the final obstacle and the father of all suffering. The fruit of this fourth stage is arrestship, the prerequisite of nirvana. So these are the great shifters. Great shifter is the symbol of bodhisattva. And there are two ways. One is the arrestship and second is the bodhisattva. When we go to the bodhisattva way, bodhi means enlightenment. Sattva means essence. So there is a way to attain supreme enlightenment in order to help all living beings. So would-be bodhisattva who thinks of the woe with the longing, but who is still encased in a hard shell of greedy ego. Then fledgling bodhisattva means he is in a conflicting, who forms an earnest intent to realize true enlightenment for the service of all living beings. Fledgling means he is a budding bodhisattva. He is nearer to bodhisattva, who forms an earnest intent to realize true enlightenment for the service of all living beings. Then the third is bodhisattva, in whom this earnest intent is mainspring of his being, and who is befriended by the celestial bodhisattvas. And then fourth is irreversible bodhisattva, whose essence is bodhi and whose heart is the O, and he will become a Buddha. The path of bodhisattva is that of the 6 and 10 transcendental perfections. We are studying these 6 and 10 transcendental perfections, which are given in the third fragment, 7 portals. So again and again I am telling, the first fragment is named as the voice of the silence, and the ending is Om Tat Sat. Then the second fragment, and I told you the first fragment is the dharana, dhyana and samadhi stage. Once you understand that, then this 2 paths is the sadhana path according to Yoga Sutra. So the path of bodhisattva is that of 6 and 10 transcendental perfection in the third fragment, where we become perfect. Then, if we learn to understand that the law is absolutely just, then we thoroughly understand the meaning of cause and effect. And then we refuse to blame our own fate. Karma sometimes comes in us as a friend to reach us or to teach us a lesson. So to know where we actually do mistakes is to make a change for the better. So hell is very real. The wheel of life points out hell is very real. And to be in hell means to be shut off from the knowing the truth. But from knowing that the wheel is of your own making and our own, this gives us, this thought must have caused many to change their pattern of living. Theosophy is given this law of karma is very essential to study. Once you understand we are responsible for our own destiny, then that changes our pattern of living. Then 122 says, true knowledge is the flower, false learning is the husk. Again, this metaphor is given, grinding the grains and taking the flour out, then the husk giving out. All this is a metaphorically, Paisabdi is teaching us. True knowledge is the flour, false learning is the husk. If thou wouldst eat the bread of wisdom, thy flour thou hast to knead with the amrut clear waters. So there is a process mentioned here. If you are doing really efforts, some results you get. But that results need to be kneaded with amrut's clear waters. Means whatever results you have got, don't get carried by those results and don't develop ego or pride, but contemplate on it and see that how that amrut's clear waters, if you knead in it, that flour, that gives you wisdom. But if thou needest husk with Maya's dew, here Maya's dew is again ego water. If you need that flour in ego water, thou cannot create but food for the black does of death, the birds of birth, decay, and sorrow. So you do no improvement at all. You just have made efforts, but again you are in the cycle of birth and death. So the true knowledge teaches immortality of the soul, while false learning is merely the empty husk of intellectual knowledge. There are some who like to show off the knowledge which they have acquired, but not so busy putting it in their daily practice. It is important what we have learned must be put in the daily practice. Amrut's clear water is the elixir of life, the water of immortality. The birds of birth, decay, and sorrow speak of many future incarnations of suffering until man realizes his ignorance and begins to seek true knowledge, which reveals a path that will set him free. Once he sets into motion constructive causes, because the effects of adverse karma will naturally cease. So Krishnamurti asked always, what is it that reincarnates? If you ask this question to ourselves, then we understand whether we are needing that flow into the Amrut clear waters or in a dew of our ego water. Then if thou, in 123 says, if thou art told that to become Arhat, thou hast to cease to love all beings, tell them they lie. Here, 122, 23, all these, they are saying what not to do. If thou art told that to gain liberation, thou hast to hate thy mother and disregard thy son, to disown thy father and call him a householder, for man and beast all pity to renounce. If anybody is telling you like this, renounce the man and beast, all pity, renounce the pity to man and beast, and disregard thy son and disown the father, and hate the mother, then you are, tell them their tongue is false, they lie. This is what he advises. Thus teach the Tritikas, the unbelievers. Who are these Tritikas and unbelievers? So these are the unbelievers, means those who have not taken the precepts. But there are people who are not accepted the 5 precepts. And for them, if anybody is teaching like this, if you are told to gain liberation, you must hate your mother, disregard your son and father, and call him as a householder. And if you are told to renounce all pity for man and beast, then it is clearly, he says, tell them their tongue is false. This is what these two. I am much impressed by the Rumi. One more slide, Vimalji, you can project here. Yes, I liked this. Door is open, and my heart says Rumi. It is the poet. I looked into temples, churches, and mosques, but I found the divine within my own heart. This is what we need not go to see outside. We must open the door inside. So the candidate who is advancing rapidly must not ignore men and creatures who are as yet undeveloped. If he should feel himself superior in any way, he would be in great danger of losing ground he had gained, whatever he has gained for many years of hard work. So Tritikas, unbelievers, because they did not follow the precepts of Buddha. Then in 126, we will go to the next step. In 126, it is clearly said that if thou art taught that sin is born of action and bliss of absolute inaction, then tell them that they are mistaking their error, non-permanence of human action, deliverance of mind from thraldom. Thraldom means slavery. Deliverance of mind from slavery by the cessation of sin and faults are not for Deva Yugos. Deva Yugos here, true self. So deliverance of mind from the slavery by the cessation of the sin and faults are not for your true self. Means, thus saith the doctrine of the heart. So what the doctrine of the heart says, deliverance of mind from slavery by the cessation of sin and faults, that won't take you to your true self. That clearly says, make your heart pure. Make your heart pure motiveless desire. Then 127, the dharma of the I is the embodiment of the external and non-existing. And in 128, the dharma of the heart is the embodiment of bodhi, the permanent and everlasting. So these are the instructions given, doctrine of heart and doctrine of I. It is called dharma of I and dharma of heart. These words are used. So point is, what point we have to remember? I have pointed out 5 points in all these 3. Number 1, inaction does not belong in the life of disciple. When he tread the path, inaction does not belong in the life of the disciple treading the path. Second point we must remember, action is the application of knowledge in daily life, out of which comes experience and also understanding. And the third point, the Deva Yugos means higher self. This, our higher self, are incarnating egos. These are the incarnating egos. Soul is incarnating, who aspires to help the world. And fourth point, it is said that there is not an overabundance of egos ready for the special teaching and training. And the fifth point, only an earnest desire to be of future service will inspire an aspirant to begin self-training. This will automatically place his foot upon the path and his journey begins. So these are the points to be remembered. The dharma of the I is the embodiment of the external and the non-existing. The word dharma here may be translated as the duty or a real belief or a chosen way of life or a path. So all these are involved in word dharma. So dharma of the I is the embodiment of the external and the non-existing. So here when we are giving meaning, that gives idea. What is this dharma of the I? Then 128, dharma of the heart is the embodiment of bodhi, the permanent, everlasting. So in Buddhic plane, there is unity. There is merging of individual soul into the over soul. But till then, we are reincarnating. So this heart learning and head learning is very important. I have got one book with me. This book, Head and Heart, a personal exploration of science and sacred. This is written by the Victor Manifested Quest book, in which I have given dharma of Aya and dharma of heart. Next chart you can focus, Vimalji. It is important because in Theosophy we have been told continuously of heart learning and head learning, modern cosmology and Jungian psychology, doctrine of the eye and doctrine of the heart. These are the terms, but we must be clear. This is what dharma of aya and dharma of heart indicates. This I found in this book. This shows the doctrine of the eye tells us both visible matter as well as invisible matter. Whereas doctrine of the heart tells us instead of matter, here he calls, Jung philosophy calls conscious aspects of personality and unconscious aspect of personality. Second point, the doctrine of the I, invisible matter. What is that invisible matter? Is known by its influence on visible matter. We can understand what influence is there of my own invisible emotions, invisible attitudes, and that is what the doctrine of the I says. We can notice it. But doctrine of the heart says it is unconscious, is known by its influence on consciousness. So whatever is going on, it is going on in the unconscious, means in subconsciousness, and its influence is known on the consciousness. Then doctrine of the I, it's both gravity governs interactions between visible and invisible, whereas here unconscious compensation governs interaction between consciousness and unconscious. Thus, universe evolves to one of two different endpoints. That means clear duality in doctrine of I, with true duality from Dvaita to Advaita, that journey. But the doctrine of heart, each individualization is a unique expression of wholeness. So here, if we feel that we are one with thee, therefore we are one with them. That is what in universal prayer we say. And last one, the doctrine of I is organized by the law of physics, whereas doctrine of the heart is organized by the archetype of self. Who is the archetype of self? There is our perfection image is there in the mind of the masters. Then one more thing I would like to put before you. It is a poetic form of heart doctrine that appealed to me. Therefore, I have brought it. This is from that book only. Translator by R.P.C. Hull tells us, for example, very good, it is a poetic one. There is something formless yet complete. There is something formless yet complete that existed before heaven and earth. How still, how empty, dependent on nothing, unchanging, all-pervading, unfailing. One may think of it as the mother of all things under heaven. I don't know its name, but I call it meaning. If I had to give it a name, I should call it the great. My point is not to argue. Some disturbance was there, no?
No, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
In my computer, some disturbance came. Okay.
Okay.
Then we go to the 129. Next, 129. In this 129, 130 and 31, very nice metaphor of lamp, metaphor of tree is given. So in fragment 2, it is as I said, it is for the practice. It is sadhana pad according to yoga. So it is giving many examples. Here metaphor of lamp. The lamp burns bright when wick and oil are clean. To make them clean, a cleaner is required. The flame feels not the process of the cleaning. See, this is a very good metaphor. The lamp burns bright when wick and oil are clean. To make them clean, a cleaner is required. The flame feels not the process of the cleaning. So 3 sentences are there in this. The lamp burns bright when wick and oil are clean. And to make the clean, a cleaner is required. So here, sadhana pad, efforts are required. Cleaner is required. And again it says, the flame feels not the process of the cleaning. Again, the cleaner must not cling to his own action. This is what it wants to convey us. Then the second metaphor, the branches of a tree are shaken by the wind. The trunk remains unmoved. And then 130, both action and inaction may find room in thee. Thy body agitated, the mind tranquil, thy soul as limpid as a mountain lake. In 131, wouldst that thou become a yogi of time circle? Then O Lanu, then it says, this time circle is the Kala Chakra. That is, refers to the mandala and its initiations, which are given only by Dalai Lama. Read, if you want, Kala Chakra Tantra, published by the Dalai Lama Wisdom publication. So the doctrine of the heart is we learned. Now here it is given, the lamp burns bright. Here, soul is the lamp. Just think of it. Soul is the lamp because that is able to spread its radiance in the world if lower vehicles are clean and free from agitation. And the flame is the Atma. Atma principle, we can say. It is being a part of divinity, cannot possibly experience anything of the lower nature. Atma doesn't know anything, what efforts you are doing. But the cleaner is required. Clinging to the action is not required. Therefore, we have to raise ourselves up to that plane or state. So right efforts required. That is what in Yoga Sutra, tapaswadhyaya ishvara pranidhanani. So both action and inaction may find room in thee. Thy body agitated, thy mind tranquil, thy soul as limpid as a mountain lake. So cleaner's job is to forget personality. And in order to forget the personality and progress more speedily, both the daily activities and inner development may come under the influence of higher self. So we are always told, meditate on your personality from the point of view of individuality, which would help to prevent the mistakes which are easily made by the lower self. Wouldst thou become a yogi of time circle, then O Lanu? So here, a yogi of time circle is one who is willing to remain in this world in order to help humanity. To seek liberation for ourselves is to ignore the suffering of others. But the voice of the silence says there is free choice. What to believe and what not to believe. Here, in the next 132, it is said what to believe and what not to believe. 132, yes. Believe thou not that sitting in dark forest, in proud seclusion, and apart from men, believe thou not that life on roots and plants that thirst assuaged with snow from the great range. Believe thou not, O devotee, that this will lead thee to the goal of final liberation. It is very nice explanation. Believe not means believe thou not that sitting in a dark forest, in a proud seclusion, and apart from men, believe thou not that life on roots and plants and thirst. So many people, they go to the forest and they lead their life from the water, from the range, great range or snow, and they feed there with the plants and roots. So that won't help. O devotee, that won't help. That is, that this will lead thee to the goal of final liberation. See, remember, this won't lead you to the goal of final liberation. Then in 33, it says, think not that breaking bone, that rending flesh and muscle, unites thee to thy silent self. So again, it is like Hatha Yoga. Think not that breaking bone, that is self mutilation. Think not that breaking bone, self mutilation, that rendering flesh and muscle unites thee to thy silent self. Silent self is the higher self. Think not that making injustice to your body, you unite with your higher self. Then think not that when the sins of thy gross form are conquered, O victim of thy shadows, thy duty is accomplished by nature and by man. Then in 134, the blessed ones have scorned to do so. The lion of the law, the lion of the law. Here, the lion of the law means he become the teacher of mankind, because the lion of the law makes him the teacher of mankind. So the blessed ones have scorned to do so. The lion of the law, the Lord of mercy, perceiving the true cause of human woe, immediately forsook the sweet but selfish rest of quiet wilds from Aranyaka. He became the teacher of mankind after Julai. Julai here, name of the Tathagata. Tathagata is one who comes and goes, no attachment. Tathagata. Tatha means coming, Gata means going. And that is the name of the Juli. And such Tathagata had entered the Nirvana. He preached on mount and plain and held discourses in the cities to devas, men, and gods. So here again, think not that breaking bone, self-mutilation. So all this speaks about 3 points here. What not to believe, 1 point. Then second, what nature of austerity maintained, and what is this, the lion of the law. So it appealed to me, Krishnamurti is teaching about the austerity. JK said, austerity in the self-abandonment is beauty, no doubt. Austerity in self-abandonment is beauty. And without austerity, there is no love. So, our true nature is love. And to reach that true nature, austerity is must. And austerity is beauty. And without austerity, there is no love, he says. And then he says, without self abandonment, beauty has no reality. So, this self abandonment is again and again prescribed. So, what we must remember is it is self denial without good works is of no value. Solitude is a period of self searching, and that is very necessary to those who are seeking to tune, who are seeking for inner tuning, especially tuning with the higher self, and listen to the voice of the silence. But to withdraw from the world's turmoil merely to vegetate would certainly set a man back a few incarnation, back for few incarnation. So therefore it is said, think not that breaking bone, that rending flesh muscles unite thee to thy silent self. Think not that when the sins of thy gross form are conquered, O victim of thy shadows, thy duty is accomplished by nature and by man. So to govern the body is must, it is necessary. But to torture it is a foolishness. It is more important that we learn to overcome the cravings of our own lower nature, because they stand in a way as a stumbling blocks for spiritual development. There is a very good example. For instance, before the ship of the soul can enter the sea of wisdom, the anchor of the perception must be dislodged from the earth, allowing it to sail forth in freedom upon the chartless waters of full spiritual consciousness. This is a good example. Unless that boat is made free from the which is lodged in the earth, we are attached to the materiality. Unless we get detached, our soul won't go freely into this spiritual consciousness. Then in 134 says, the blessed ones have scorned to do so. The Lion of Law, the Lord of Mercy, perceiving the true cause of human woe, immediately forsook the sweet but selfish rest of quiet fields. From Aranyaka, he became the teacher of mankind. After July means Tathagata had entered the Nirvana, he preached on the mount and plain and held discourses in the cities to devas, men, and gods. So here, the lion of the law need to be understood. The lion of the law is one who has conquered himself. The lion represents the lower nature, which has been subdued by the spiritual man. And this allows our spiritual forces, solar forces, to free the candidate from life as an ordinary man. Then he has become an extraordinary man. He is able to wield the scepter of power for good. So he has get that rod of power, scepter of power. Then Aranyaka is a forest dweller. One may go in the forest for meditating, So Aranyaka is a forest dweller. Again, it comes to the austerity. And July is the name of the Tathagata, a title applied to every Buddha, which means who has followed in the steps of his seniors, elders, devas, men, and gods, all seek to bathe in the strong and beautiful auras of the enlightened ones. It is again Satsanga, Sangam Sharanam Gacchami. The devas, gods, and chohans being ruler of the principalities, ruler of the dominions, ruler of the thrones, and means all hierarchies of the heavenly states. They are the conscious, intelligent powers in nature. Whoever seek to serve the Buddhas, they get these help from these powers. We are told that Gautama the Buddha went into the forest to meditate. And there he seated himself under the Bodhi tree and resolving to attain illumination. This is what we are told. Especially I liked the revolution. What revolution must take? That is, inner revolution has to be taken place. Krishnamurti used this word. Austerity is not a harsh. It is disciplined assertion of self-importance. So it may appear like a selfishness, but it is the self-reliance, self-importance, disciplined assertion of self-importance. It is not the denial of comfort or woes of celibacy. In modern language, it is tuning with the life. Here I give two more slides. Vimalji, you can project it now. What we can understand in modern spirituality. So everlasting life is a frequency. So when we are speaking of the inner tuning, it is tuning means again it comes to the frequency. So next slide shows we are frequencies beings. We have musical scale, above frequency is shown. We have DNA strand frequency, then the brain waves frequencies, alpha, beta, theta, all those frequencies we are studying. And the third one slide, what is our wrongdoing is. It's funny. It is funny how people will believe in Wi-Fi, invisible waves powering everything, but still think energy, frequency, and vibration are just some mystical nonsense. It may be mystical nonsense. Doesn't matter, but you come to that truth. It may be funny, but we are having those vibrations around us. We are definitely influenced by them. So in order to forget the personality and progress more speedily, both the daily activities and inner development may come under the influence of such vibrations. But we must be under the influence of higher self, which would help to prevent our mistakes, which are easily done or made by the lower self. Then it says, wouldst thou become a yogi of time circle? Then, O Langan. A very nice word. That is 131, I think. Yeah. 31. Wouldst thou become a yogi of time circle? Then, O Langan. A yogi of time circle is one who is willing to remain in this world in order to help humanity. To seek liberation for ourselves is to ignore the suffering of others. But the voice of the silence, there is freedom of choice. And then in 132, etc., we are told what not to do, etc., that we have discussed. I think we go to the 135. Yes. Then what it says? So here again, four good things are shown. So kindly acts, have self-knowledge, have patience, and have perseverance. So kindly acts, and thou shalt reap their rotation. Inaction in deed of a mercy becomes an action in a deadly sin. We can give a 1 hour talk on this. So 136 says, Thus said the sage, shall thou abstain from action? Not so shall gain thy soul her freedom. To reach nirvana, one must reach self-knowledge, and self-knowledge is of loving deeds the child. Here, loving deeds the child is our action must be a godlike. Then 137, have patience, candidate, as one who fears no failure, courts no success. Fix thy soul's gaze upon the star, whose ray thou art, the flaming star that shines within the lightless depths of your being, the boundless fields of the unknown. Have perseverance as one who doth for evermore endure. Thy shadows live and vanish. That which in thee shall live forever, that which in thee knows, for it is knowledge, is not of fleeing life. It is the man that was, that is, and will be, for whom the hour shall never strike. So this so kindly acts. So four things they have showed. In short, I can say, so kindly acts. That is one. So kindly acts. Then second, have self-knowledge. And third, have patience. And have perseverance. So all these three are telling these 4 points. All these four, they are telling 4 points. So we are told that our personalities are shadows. They come and go, do some work, learn some lessons, and then vanish. That only the ego or soul endures forever. This means that we can continue to learn and improve. Here we end today. I think 3 minutes more I have taken. So, and then we can review the questions. Which path belongs to the doctrine of heart? What is the Sanskrit word for the universal soul? What is alaya? What does the word yoga mean? Do we need the ivory tower? Like, do you want to shine with pride? Then next, which path belongs to the... Okay. Why is discrimination so necessary when acquiring knowledge? Because again here, true knowledge is important. Which is true knowledge? Self-knowledge is true knowledge. Otherwise, a lot of information is there. If you browse the Google, you get a lot of information poured upon us. So which doctrine assists us in steering our own karmic course? What does a yogi of time circle mean? When is an ivory tower necessary? What does lion of the law mean? Why is action necessary to gain our freedom? So this is what today's session we end. If you want to ask anything, you can ask. Otherwise, we will end.
Yes. Thank you so much, Shindeji. I think You just took us to another world altogether. It was so wonderful. And, if it, until anybody else wants to ask a question, I just want to ask you, sir, one question. So
Tell me.
it is written in the sorry, 1 minute. Let me. Where have you gone, sir? Why can't I see your image? Yes, yes. So the question that I was asking is, sir, that even in the Light of Asia, they talk about the Devas also listening to the Buddha's teachings. And here also it is mentioned that the Buddha teaches the Devas. So because you have read so many texts, could you give us an idea about what are the qualities which the Devas are lacking and what they are learning? What is their path of knowledge or learning? Like we know our greed, anger, delusion, pride, all of these qualities are the things we have to fight, our lower self. Or uh, uh, what is the problems the devas have?
No, no. They are listening means
Huh.
one who is humble, humblest, humbler and humblest, he learns to listen. It is not hearing, they are listening. So whether it is going on rightly or not, they are very carefully watching. They are listening means they are there. That is what I think.
Okay.
They are always there. Watchful eye is there from the higher. And Buddha is highest. Anybody can go and listen to Buddha. Even J. Krishnamurti said, if Buddha came now, I will go and sit to listen him.
Oh, nice.
This
Thank you,
is
sir.
what, and we are calling J. Krishnamurti as the world teacher. But still he said, I will go and listen to him even now.
Okay, sir.
This is the
Yes.
attitude. One who reached to that. The listening is an art, and that art is there. So if we become a real listener, then we are reached to that state. But we don't listen. And whatever we listen, we remember half of it. Whatever remember half of it, we express again half of it. And this is how it is. There is filter.
In this, one more part which occurs to me is while there is a lot of mentioning of there should not be the doctrine of the I, which refers to knowledge, there is one of the aphorism is telling you must need the knowledge of good, you must need knowledge with the waters of Amrita. It is
Yes.
telling about getting good knowledge with and
That
then
is
you
what
must
Vimalji
have the
said.
bread of
When
wisdom.
we have good knowledge, when we have already theosophical knowledge is a good knowledge. We have that knowledge. But that only knowledge means intellectual. It must be needed. In Amrut's water means we must contemplate on it. And Amrut is within us. Atma is within us. We can contemplate, reflect, and one day it becomes so good so that we can feed properly. That is what it says. Amrut water means it must be contemplation must be so that our intellect might convert into intelligence, or knowledge converts into true knowledge, or it is a journey from intellect to intelligence. That is what
Okay.
needing is required. Amrut water.
So
Otherwise,
some kind of
we need ego, and ego develops, we become intellectual prides.
um, some kind of internalizing of the knowledge means you have to internalize and
Yes.
develop your own thinking about the knowledge and develop it inside you.
And
In a
Vimalji,
way.
it cannot be expressed. We can only say, whatever knowledge we have, contemplate on it and see what happens. It changes you. How it changes, you don't know, but it changes you. When you contemplate, you understand more and more about it, more and more layers about it. This is what it has been told. Buddha said, silence avoids the problem, and smile solves the problem. The listeners, they just smile. One smile is important. They solve the problem. And silence avoids the problem. In the beginning, I said one story. Buddhist traditions are having two paths, path of seeing and path of attention. So we must be seeing in the sense, we must gather the information. And then once we gathered information, once we got the knowledge, then we need to be attentive. So that is path of attention. Attention to what we have gathered. With one eye, I see the path immediately, and with the other eye, I guide the travelers. That is what one, in the beginning, I told the story, how you find the way when there is no light in the forest. And then he said, with one eye, I see the path immediately, and with the other, I guide my course. So here, one eye we gather the information, and with the other eye, we guide ourselves through the kneading in the Amrita water. And again I say, man is not a free agent, but he is independent.
About the two hemispheres of the brain. The left brain gathers the information, the right brain.
Again, like that. You came again at brain level. That is again material level. Yes, we can understand in that way also. Yeah. Right and left are there. Even if you are confused, it is said you can do pranayama with the left, so that feeds the right brain. If you are confused, you just do 10 minutes or something, and then see what happens. You become calm and quiet. It is true. There are division of the brain. Cerebral hemisphere is divided into right and left. I can give a talk on it. It is different, but it is again material level. I am more interested in going more and more deeper of that. Thank you very much. It is time now.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Let us end, and I request Sushma ji to give us the closing prayer. And thank you so much. It was truly wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Shinde.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sushma.
For your excellent exposition. We are very grateful to you.
Thank you.
Now I am Asato ma sadgamay, tamso ma jyotirgamay, mrityor ma amritam gamay. From the unreal lead us to the real, from darkness lead us to light, from death lead us to immortality. Sarve bhavantu sukhnah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukh bhag bhave. Om Shanti, 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 Shanti.